It was one of those heavy summer nights where the air feels wrong, thick, almost alive. I was lying in bed with the windows open, letting the warm breeze drift in. Somewhere in the distance, crickets chirped in lazy harmony, until they didn't. It was the silence that woke me. Not the kind you hear in the woods, the kind you feel in your bones. I rolled over and caught it, a flicker of movement in my window. Not a shadow, not a person, something thin, too thin, stretching unnaturally as it slid away. My skin crawled, but my legs felt rooted. Then came the sound, a slow, deliberate tapping on the glass. Not from the outside, from inside my room. My name's Ethan, and this happened in the summer of 2018. I was back in my small hometown for the season, staying in my parents' old farmhouse. The nights there always had a certain stillness, the kind you forget about when you've been living in the city. The air smelled of cut grass, the faint tang of the lake drifting up from the valley. My window overlooked the fields, glowing silver under the moonlight. It should have been peaceful. It should have been safe. But there was something about that night, a thickness in the air, as if the heat was hiding something. I didn't know it yet, but whatever was outside, it had been waiting for me. I'd stayed up late reading, my desk lamp the only light in the room. Around midnight, the breeze shifted, carrying with it the faintest smell of something burnt, like charred wood. That was strange. The nearest neighbor was half a mile away. Then I heard it. Not the soft rustle of grass, not the creak of the house settling. A whistle, low and almost playful. I froze, book still in my hands. My parents were asleep down the hall, and I was certain no one should be outside at this hour. I stood, trying to peer out my open window. Moonlight bathed the fields in silver, but everything looked still. That's when I noticed the tall scarecrow in the cornfield. Except we didn't have a scarecrow. Its head turned slightly, just enough to catch the light. I dropped to the floor, heart pounding. All right, continuing from where we left off. I pressed my back against the wall, listening. The whistle came again, longer this time. It wasn't a tune. It was mimicking something, the way a child might copy a bird without quite getting it right. Curiosity pulled me toward the window, even though every instinct screamed at me not to look. The figure in the field was gone. I scanned the cornrows, my eyes adjusting to the shadows. The burnt smell grew stronger. The wind shifted again, and that's when I saw it. Something moved between the stalks. It didn't walk, it glided, just tall enough for its head to be visible above the corn. I ducked away, fumbling for my phone. No service. The floorboard outside my room creaked. I turned toward the door, and there, in the hallway, a long shadow stretched across the floor, and it wasn't mine. My mouth went dry. I reached for the lamp switch, but froze. If I turned it on, I'd see what was making that shadow, and I wasn't sure I wanted to. The shadow shifted slightly, as if whatever cast it was leaning closer to the doorway. "Dad?" I whispered. No answer. Instead, a soft tapping against the doorframe. Slow, measured. I took a step back, heart thundering. My phone slipped from my hand, clattering on the floor. The shadow twitched. The tapping stopped. Silence. Then, from the window, the whistle. I spun around. The figure was outside, its face inches from the glass. It wasn't a scarecrow.
It wasn't even human. Its skin was pale and stretched thin, eyes wide and unblinking, mouth curled into something that almost looked like a smile. It lifted a finger and pointed at me. I stumbled back, tripping over my chair, eyes locked on that impossible face at the window. The thing didn't blink. It didn't breathe. And then it tilted its head. The glass between us felt paper thin. If it wanted to come in, I had no doubt it could. I bolted for the hallway, my bare feet pounding the wood. My parents' bedroom door was open, but their bed was empty. "Mom? Dad?" My voice cracked. Nothing. I rushed down the stairs, but halfway down, the burnt smell hit me full force, sharp, choking. In the living room, the front door stood open wide, swaying slightly in the warm night air. Beyond it, the fields were no longer silver in the moonlight. They looked black, dead. And in the middle of that darkness stood my parents, perfectly still, facing the house. I froze on the last step. My parents didn't wave, they didn't call out. Their heads turned in perfect unison, the movement too smooth, unnatural. From somewhere behind them in the field, the tall figure emerged again, gliding toward them. It placed a long, bony hand on each of their shoulders, and they smiled. A deep, guttural voice, not belonging to either of them, echoed through the night. "You left the window open." I slammed the door and ran to the kitchen, fumbling with the lock on the back door. But before I could close it, a pale arm slipped through the gap, fingers curling around my wrist. The skin was cold, damp. And then it whispered my name. Its grip tightened, nails digging into my skin. I yanked back, but the thing's strength was unnatural, not overpowering, but deliberate, like it wanted me to think I could break free. I slammed my weight against the door, finally forcing it shut. But when I looked at my wrist, 4 deep impressions were already swelling red. The whispering didn't stop. It came from every side of the house now, like dozens of voices repeating my name in perfect, unnatural rhythm. I ran for the stairs, desperate to get to my room, to lock myself in. But halfway up, I heard footsteps inside the house.
Slow, heavy, coming from above. I froze. That meant whoever, whatever was upstairs, had been there all along. And then, just over the landing, a face leaned out from my bedroom doorway. It was mine. It smiled, my smile. Every detail was perfect, except the eyes, too dark, too deep. I stumbled back down the stairs, my legs weak. The footsteps above followed, fast now, relentless. The front door, still unlocked, was my only chance. I flung it open and ran barefoot into the night. The air outside was hotter, heavier. The black field seemed endless. My parents were gone. The whistling started again, from somewhere behind me. Then, ahead of me. Then all around. Shapes moved in the corn, tall, thin, inhuman. I turned toward the road, but it wasn't there anymore. Just more field. The smell of burnt wood choked me as I dropped to my knees. And from the rows ahead, my parents stepped out again. They were still smiling. I stumbled backward, my breath shallow, heart threatening to rip out of my chest. The thing that wore my parents' faces kept walking toward me, slow, deliberate steps. Behind them, more figures emerged from the corn, dozens, all of them with faces I knew, all of them smiling. Some were old friends, some were me. I turned and ran blindly through the rows, stalks ripping my face and arms. But the corn never ended.
The moon above flickered, as if a cloud, no, something larger, was moving across it. Everywhere I looked, the pale faces appeared between the stalks, watching. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, until it felt like my skull might split. Then, silence. I stopped. The field around me was empty. The air was perfectly still. And there, standing directly in front of me, was the original figure, the one from my window. Its skin was stretched tight over sharp bones, its arms far too long, its head tilted, studying me with those glassy, dead eyes. It leaned close, breath ice cold against my ear. "You left the window open," it said, again. But this time, I understood. It wasn't a warning. It was a welcome. The corn around me shifted. Hands, cold, damp, reached out from the stalks and pulled me under. The world went black. They found the farmhouse a week later. My parents were never seen again. Neither was I. But if you drive past that field on a hot summer night, some people swear they see someone standing at the edge of the corn, smiling. And if you listen closely, you might hear a whistle, not from the field, but inside your car.